Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beantown Banter podcast.
Hunter on the move, racing back, it's over his head, it's gone, it's into the bullpen, this game is tied, this game is tied!
Rebound is on the top of the crease, Red Sox score! Bergeron! Driving forward, diving to the goal line! A touchdown! And a title! Anything's possible! Anything's possible!
Recording live from Boston, Massachusetts, here are your hosts, Brady Gardner and Patrick Donnelly. And welcome to episode 31 of the Beantown Banter podcast. Here with Patrick Donnelly, I'm Brady Gardner. How we doing, Patrick?
We got a nervous energy right now.
A nervous energy?
Game 7.
Game 7. Yeah, I knew it was going to come down to that. And yes, that's right around the corner for the Bruins. But we're not going to start there. We are going to start today with a team that maybe we've sold a little bit short here in recent weeks. A team that maybe has been undercovered on the iconic Beantown Banter podcast. Your Boston Celtics have swept the Indiana Pacers in 4 games. As you do, that's a sweep, 4 games. That was sweeping sounds coming from Patrick on the opposite side of the desk. But yeah, the Celtics coming at you with a 4-game sweep. Yes, it was over the Pacers, so a little bit asterisk there. But that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive. I mean, so it kind of looks like the perfect storm, and I'm still not excited about this team like we talked about last week. Just because I don't know, they've given us every reason this year to become disappointed with them.
But they're putting it together.
Against the Pacers.
I don't care who it's against. If you can get 4 solid games in a row like they did.
Out of Gordon Hayward.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so it's
obviously their best stretch of the season.
It's fantastic. Yeah, they made it look easy. Kyrie has been money aside from yesterday where he ended up being fine, but he had a slow start. Yes, exactly.
Didn't have to be. You're up 3 games. Indiana's already dead.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward showing up consistently.
Yeah.
So, and they've settled into that look of making it easy.
Yes.
Making it look easy that
Which
we expected them this season.
From October.
Yes.
It's great.
So, I'm excited. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to get excited when you know you're going to just go into the gauntlet now.
Right. It gets a whole lot more difficult now because the Milwaukee Bucks are right around the corner, and that'll be quite the step up from the Pacers, but I don't want to just move on from this series just yet because I think there were quite a few takeaways. So, first of which, really, you mentioned, Kyrie Irving didn't need to really have the spotlight there in that last game. But I say that's a good thing, really, because that means you're spreading the wealth kind of the way that you had drawn it all up from the beginning where you said, oh, we have so many young talents and we so many shooters on this team. Like, it's great. And you're finally seeing that pan out. Yes, Kyrie's still going to light up Instagram with all the, shake and bake and nail a 3 when you need it and all that. But if you're going to get big-time shots and, big-time numbers in across 60 minutes from the likes of Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, that's huge for you. So
precisely.
Yeah. But then, I think it's also good you have Kyrie to be Kyrie, and he has been in this series. You saw I was there for Game 2, and you saw him.
Humble brag.
Yeah, okay.
We'll be at Game 7 tomorrow if we're doing humble brags.
Yes, well, we'll get to that. But, yeah, Kyrie Game 2, he put up, 37 points. So, yeah, classic, Kyrie, give me the ball, and let's, win this one because they did trail for quite some time in that game. They were down 11, I think it was, to start the fourth quarter. But he brought him back, and, he was the ball handler for much of that game. But then the last, 2 minutes of the game, not a single point from Kyrie because you got a big-time shot from Jason Tatum. You got Gordon Hayward underneath to give you a little bit of breathing room, and the rest of it, you just kind of, killed the clock off. And so that's exactly what you need from the Celtics. And I think if you're a Celtics fan, you got to be really happy with the way this last week or so has played out with the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, the only adversity they faced really was Game 1 when they have that awful first quarter and then first half of the second quarter. And then yesterday when they go up 8-0 right away to start, and all of a sudden it's 14-8.
Yeah.
But, other than that, you never, we saw the Pacers take leads at times yesterday. You never felt it was in danger.
Right.
And even then, if, say, the Celtics lose, you're still coming back to the Garden for Game 5.
Yeah, it doesn't
No way
matter.
you lose.
Exactly. And, yeah, I would say that the Pacers did put up a bit of a fight. Like, they give you a challenge. They, you got some big performances from the likes of Bojan Bogdanovic, who I actually kind of like. Tyreek Evans. Like, they still tried.
I wanted Tyreek Evans so badly, not last
really?
year.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess my point is, the Pacers could have rolled over and said, all right, we're missing Oladipo, our best player, whatever. But I think they put up a fight, and they gave it their best, which benefited the Celtics. Didn't make the Celtics look too good at times when you saw a bunch of, seemingly no names, especially around here, threatening them in the fourth quarter. But I think it forced them to stay on their toes a little bit and, not really have a cakewalk, because obviously this next round here is going to be anything but a cakewalk.
Exactly. And on a retrospect note, I would love to see the series again with Victor Oladipo in the lineup.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I think that'd be a great series. I think that's 6 or 7 games.
Wow. One player?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'd say they would have stolen one of those games. I don't see it going really the distance.
I think it would have been 6, and I don't think the games would have been ever. We talked about how it was never really in question.
Yeah.
I think there would have been some, even the wins probably would have been in question at points.
Wow. Alrighty. Well, so coming right down the stretch here will likely be the Milwaukee Bucks, who currently hold a 3-0 advantage over the Detroit Pistons. Game 4 will be tonight out in Detroit, but this one's basically over. We knew it from the beginning. The Bucks are looking good. They've put up 121, 120, and 119 across the first 3 games. Compare that to the Celtics, and I don't think it's too pretty. So what are you going to have to do to stop this Milwaukee offense?
You have to stop Giannis.
It starts there.
It does.
Sure.
And Eric Bledsoe isn't the same Eric Bledsoe as last year.
Let me read you the numbers here
As
from the
Ethan
Celtics.
said.
Those wins were 84, 99, 104, 110. You barely got within 10 points of the average for the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in your high.
Yeah.
Anyway, go back. What were you saying?
Again, it all starts with Giannis,
Yep.
and Eric Bledsoe seemed to exercise demons. Doesn't look like we're going to be mocking him at all.
Drew Bledsoe.
Oh, Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Let's make shirts.
Scary Terry gets, 10 minutes a game?
Probably.
But he's doing fine, actually. He's a good sixth man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need.
Adequate. And you got to hope they get Smart back sometime this series.
Yeah.
I mean, he's taking shots now. Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, this is Gordon Hayward last year 2.0. Hey, well, look at him. He's shooting the ball. There's so much more to it than
but
standing alone and shooting free throws.
Smart didn't destroy his ankle and completely need to reconstruct it. It's a contusion.
I guess, but I don't know. Even then, I don't know if you need Marcus Smart right now.
Isn't contusion a fancy way of saying bruise?
I feel like that's true. Regardless.
Anyways.
Yeah, I just think he's going to, if he goes back in there, he kind of messes with the rotation that worked so well here in this first series. But at the same time, he offers that completely different play style, that, right there on the edge that can get into opponent's head, win you a game late on the defensive end. So obviously there's a benefit to having him there. I'm not saying bench Marcus Smart. I'm just saying maybe cut back the minutes a little bit because he'll be coming back from injury, and you got a good thing rolling right now.
Well, yeah, they're not going to toss him into the fire right away.
True.
If he even comes back this series.
Yeah.
Whoa, squeaky chair there.
Squeaky.
But I would just love for this team to prove it to me. Right. Because we've been saying this all year.
Yeah.
It's well and good that we swept the Pacers. Who, maybe you could count the Pacers in, but basically seeds 5 through 8, or whether the Celtics became that 5th seed. So seeds 6 through 8, nothing special. The Pacers we saw, nothing special.
Yeah.
And now you're taking on the biggest threat in the East.
Right. So if there was ever a time to prove it, it would be right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one weakness here for the Bucks, they don't have a late guy. They don't have someone to close it out and make the big shot when it matters.
You don't think Giannis can?
No. He's a get in the paint, knock people around, and get to the bucket. He's not I'm going to size you up, ISO, and then hit a long one.
I'm going to take you and get you to mid-range, and bang.
Sometimes you need more than a mid-range. Sometimes you need Jason Tatum in the corner game 2. Sometimes you need Kyrie Irving to pull up. Game
at
7
the half-court line.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just think, when you get into the final 1-2 minutes of play, and it's neck and neck, I think you give the edge to the Celtics.
Yeah, especially considering the team's been there before so many times.
Yeah, and you hope that the Celtics can kind of tread water through the game to that point, because I do think 60-minute efforts from this team tend to be an issue. And if you're taking on the Pacers, you can recover because maybe they don't have the best shooters in the world. They'll leave the door open for you, and you can come get that, as we saw time and time again this past series. But the Bucks aren't going to give you that opportunity. They're going to slam the door shut when they get the chance. So you got to play the full 60 minutes. And try to outlast them in the end. I think that's the only way you're getting by them in this series, but I do think it will probably go the distance just like it did last year.
Yeah, and speaking of performance and effort, I think you're going to need the same exact out of everybody.
Definitely.
And not think you
More.
will. I don't think you will. You absolutely do. It's not a matter of think, it's fact.
Yeah.
And because really, you don't really have an answer for Giannis. The
No.
only
No
way,
one does. No team does.
Yeah, the only
You
way.
put Al on him? Yeah, you're in trouble.
The only way
That was
you're
a
gonna
great sound, by the way. Rip headphone users.
Yeah,
A little
I mean-
pig snort. Hello.
the only way it's gonna happen is complete effort out of everybody, just matching it.
That's right. So we'll see. Maybe this is a different Celtics team. Maybe they've turned it on for the playoffs. Still a bit of uncertainty, though.
Did you see Brad's quote ahead of Game 4?
No. Oh, was it?
To beat a
Yeah.
team, you gotta win one at a time. And it's like,
That's nice.
thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
It was.
I
Well,
get the
that's not
point.
the exact quote. It was along the lines, but
Right. What a
Brad
guy.
Stradamus Stevens.
Okay. Well, it wasn't too complicated in the first round. Let's just say that. But yeah, this will be prove it time for the C's. Have they turned a corner on the season? Are they Are they finally working things out here? Have they, had their come to Jesus moment? And now let's go win a title. We shall see. But yeah, that's a little Celtics note for you to start off the show. We've been very
A
Bruins
10-minute
heavy.
Celtics note.
Okay.
That may be the longest Celtics stretch we've had in a while.
Exactly.
And we haven't had Ethan on.
And so that's good because I think we've, like I said, we've sold them short a little bit here in recent weeks because there's a story that maybe the two of us are a little bit biased towards, and that is your Boston Bruins, who have gone back and forth with the Leafs, punch for punch this series. No team has had a win streak more than one, but you're down to Game 7 tomorrow night in the Garden, and Patrick and I made the financially irresponsible decision to be in attendance.
The impulse purchase to end all.
It wasn't
impulse
totally.
purchases.
We considered it plenty.
I mean, right at the game, I was like, I'm in. You?
Well, you were, yeah. But then we started looking at it and we were like, oh, the fees are a little much. But you know what?
the fees are ridiculous. That's for another day.
Yeah. But we're gonna be there.
Might be a bigger scam than college.
Fees on the online tickets, all the service.
I mean,
fees that they
Ticketmaster
need.
has to make money somehow, so I guess.
Well, that'll be pretty cool to be there. I've never been to a Game 7 myself. Have you?
This will only be my second playoff
That's
game.
a
The
good
first
point.
game was Game 2 last week.
Wow. So you're a
What a
busy
week.
beaver. Yeah, that's
What a
quite
week and a half.
So that'll be fun. Regardless, not on going away from these individual notes here, these personal notes. Let's get into this series. So where did we leave off last week? We had
You're after Game 4. Or ahead of Game 4.
3.
Ahead of Game 4.
So after Game 3, the Bruins were down 2-1 in the series, having dropped the first game and then the third game, and then they had the convincing win in Game 2, which I still think is their best performance. But since then,
By
on
far.
Wednesday, the Bruins won in a barn burner, as they say, 6-4 down in Toronto, and then and fell 2-1 at home in the ugliest game that you have seen from the Bees in a while. So you just look at those two before we even get to yesterday's game. Just the difference in those two games and what we could take away from them. Games 4 and 5.
Okay. So, Games 4 and 5.
Settle in, folks. That's the look we just got right here.
We'll get into Game 5. Internally, I was
Dying.
I was shattered.
That was a low.
That might have been the lowest point
That
for
was
me
not
since
even
2013.
He was off the Bruins train, and he had jumped in front of it.
Quote, they're done. Done.
I could read some of the quotes right now.
No. I
It
mean,
is
are
so
they
bad.
suitable for the airwaves?
Not necessarily. Good season, fellas, was out there.
Yes.
My God.
It was a low point.
And now he's going to Game 7. This kid, a roller coaster this kid is on.
And I'm riding it.
Clearly.
But
Jeez.
we get to Game 4, and they came out flying in the first period, which is what you needed them to happen. Which is what you needed to happen. It
Just like in
sounds
Game 2.
obvious, but the blueprint for the series is Game 2.
The
as
response.
obvious as it sounds, but like they get the 2-0 early, in Game 4,
Sure.
and all of a sudden, you come out right. Obviously, we just said you come out hot. Trying to gather thoughts here as we go.
Yep.
You come out hot, and then you settled in there. You turned on cruise control way too early, and now you're getting completely dominated and ravaged in your own zone by the Leafs.
Yeah.
Completely outshot. End of the day, Tuukka Rask makes 37 of 41, and 4 goals. Oh, he didn't steal the game.
He did not steal that game.
I think he did.
When your offense gets 6 goals, you don't steal a game.
When you give up 4, you steal a game.
Wait, what? No, a 2-1 game is a steal. A 1-0 game is a steal. 6-4? I don't know.
It could have been worse. It could have been worse.
Could've
The
been
save
better.
on Connor Brown.
Okay, the goal that Matthews scored, they cancel each other out.
Well, all right. So this is my point on the goal Matthews scored, the second goal. Yes, it was soft. We
Right
can
through him.
all acknowledge it was soft. He should have tucked the arm a little more, squeezed it off, whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to give credit to the shooter in Austin Matthews, who might have one of the best wrist shots in the NHL.
He's had a great series.
Yes. He's woken up. As
Finally, yeah.
David Pastrnak said, I'm awake now.
Did he really say that?
Like in Game 3 or Game 4.
Okay, he did
during
have
the
2 goals
intermission.
there in Game 4.
And it's nice in Game 4 when the first line finally shows up, only to disappear right away in Game 5.
Right. So Game 5, not pretty. And this
Tuukka
was
Rask did enough to steal that game for you, too.
okay. So that's what I was saying. I was saying the way that they were playing in that game, you needed him to steal it, and he did everything he could to his credit.
He did.
He
They got hosed on a goalie interference call.
Goalie interference
They got
was it
hosed.
Hyman? Hyman
Yes,
bumping into him.
He knew accidentally on purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, and so Rask couldn't get across. Matthews fires it into the empty net.
And so that review, I mean, I'll try and find the explanation for you, but basically it said
There's no point.
They reviewed all possible angles and it was inconclusive.
Yeah, thanks.
And it's like, you're not telling me anything.
I don't learn anything from that.
It's like we just confirmed the call on the ice. The call on the ice shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Unless it really shouldn't.
It's a guess.
It's any. Yeah.
If it's a play that's going to take 10 minutes to video review, how is somebody that's going to see it in a split second have the authority over the decision?
The call on the ice shouldn't matter, whether it's offsides, goaltender interference. And this goes back to the point earlier in the year. If we're going to have review, we got to have it right. Like, what's the point of having it?
This is every sport, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows if Rask goes to make that save or not? Who knows? But you can't play that. Or you can't play that, he probably wouldn't have saved it anyways. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is kind of reactionary, but I saw it on Twitter, and I actually kind of agree with it, but I hate being the refs, because that's exactly what Leafs fans are doing, and that's what's getting us on them.
Ugh.
But while there's an active franchise in Toronto, should the Situation Room really be in Toronto?
I don't think it matters.
Especially when you get an explanation like that.
Do you think
when you get an explanation like that?
Are they driving up to work with their Leafs fan license plate and their Leafs jersey, the Matthews jersey on the back, and then they take it off and put on a suit and go into the NHL offices?
I don't know.
No,
they're not. They're not.
That's like baseball's in New York, football's in New York. Does it matter?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. But it's just something to talk about.
Sure. It's
And
interesting.
It is.
Yeah, because it's something where you're like, I didn't really think about that, but
Also brings up the conversation like we had Ray Croft, Cam Talbot, and Marty Biron on Twitter.
Ray Croft, right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, Andrew Raycroft I don't think he has any authority to speak, really.
He's all over it.
But, I mean, while we're here, why don't we have a goalie in the Situation Room?
Yeah.
But then again, the goalie's probably going to say interference every time.
Right.
But
makes sense.
It goes back to we need to have a standard. There's no standard for this. It's always left up to discretion, and that's why there's such the fluctuation.
Yep.
And we see later in the night where Calgary's goal was disallowed because Philip Grubauer just flopped like a dead fish.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that anymore. But
Jesus, Peter, where you at?
I know.
Okay.
He flopped, and people said, "Why didn't Rask flop?" Well,
Flopped
you
like
can't fault Rask for focusing on the pass and focusing on the game in hand and being in the heat of the moment and trying his best to make the save.
Yeah.
I'd rather him try and make the save than flop and not have the call go.
Didn't he say that after the game? Didn't he say, "Should I have fallen?" Like
he said, maybe if I fell on my ass, things would have been different. But
wow, was that the quote? That was the quote.
The fall on the ass, yes.
Yeah, he was fired up about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then again, I'd rather him put in the effort.
Definitely.
I don't want to get.
He's had a good series.
He's been the least of their problems.
He's
been the least
fantastic
of their problems.
from Tuukka. And then you look at the other side. Freddie Anderson, pretty solid too.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into that game. Well, actually, just finishing off here with Game 5. You had the Matthews goal that kind of opened the floodgates because Kasperi Kapanen scored 2 minutes later. David Krejci tried to get one back with 44 seconds to play, but the damage had been done, and you headed to Toronto with your season on the line.
And Patrick in a very dark place.
Very true.
It was far too little, far too late. And my lines from Game 5 through like the first 10 minutes of Game 6, wake up. You have to at some point this series. Wake up.
Well, you don't think they did in Game 2?
Well, obviously they did in Game 2,
Okay.
but come on, that was like a little.
It's late in the
that
series.
was getting
when it
up from
matters.
your nap to go take dinner, to go eat dinner, and then going back to sleep.
Okay, that's true. Patrick was sobbing on the couch for a while.
I was just staring blankly at the TV with my inner thoughts.
That's nice. But the Bruins made up for it in a very dramatic Game 6 out there in Toronto. Everything against them, and they came back. They went down 1-0 early. Morgan Riley, who's actually pretty good. I didn't even know
Very
that.
good at hockey.
He's very good at hockey.
Should have been a Norris candidate or a finalist for the Norris.
He's all over the place.
He should have been a Norris finalist. I will say that.
So he scored early, but then Marchand gets one of the softest goals out of Freddie Anderson you have seen in a while. It definitely was.
I said soft at the time, but it goes right off Hainsey's legs in front.
As you would say, Charmin soft.
Well, that's pretty much reserved for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, wow.
And Ron Hainsey.
You don't like him at all.
Why are you pretending to be tough, Ron Haynes? You've never been a tough guy in your career. Just stop it, please.
It's the role he needs to play.
Yeah, it's like the 37-year-old who's going to be in the retirement home in a couple weeks.
Jeez.
Like, this is way off topic, but back in the regular season after Hyman bulldozed McAvoy, like 30-second, or that's an exaggeration, but late. And Chris Wagner.
The shift's over at that point, but okay.
Chris Wagner buries Morgan Riley, and Ron Haynes, who does the waving him on, like, come at me, bro. Yeah. It's like, dude, what?
There's just so much to hate about the Leafs.
Like
Freddie
fake
Anderson,
tough guys around Nazem Kadri, Zach Hyman.
Going back to Freddie Anderson, he has been solid this series. And
aside from that first goal.
So that's where we saw it break, and I said it. That's the turning point.
I said that's one that rattles you.
That's one that gets in your head where you're like, oh, man, probably should have had that one. And then you see it just a couple minutes later. Torrey Krug smacks one in, and the Bees are up for good.
Yeah, that Krug goal is not really so much on Anderson rather than credit to Krug, the shooter, because Krug had no space to shoot at.
Exactly, but you could feel like the Bruins, they got it in the back of the net, and they're like, okay, here we go, because they struggled for so long in that game before where they just could not beat Anderson. They couldn't get in the back of the net. And Martian squeaks one in, and here we go. Everything's rolling. Sorry.
No worries. Back to the first 10 minutes of that game where the Leafs are handling the puck like wizards, and the Bruins have their sticks turned over. And again, wake up. You have to at some point in the series. Your series is on the line.
You just needed a softie. Needed the softie.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them get burned by the post. Oh, can we talk about that penalty?
There were so many of them.
That's true.
It's just bad.
It's just gone out the window.
There were like four
penalties. For both teams.
Yeah.
It's gone out the window.
Let them play in Game 7.
I hope so.
Just go.
I want, like, 2011 Game 7, Tampa Bay. No penalties called, 1-0.
You want a 1-0?
Well, you know what I mean. No penalties called, just back and forth.
Would you prefer a 1-0 or last season where it was 7-4 the final? Bruins went down 2 at one point.
Well, I mean, the 1-0 came with like 5 minutes left in the game, or like 7.
Huh.
I don't know.
What do you want then? Because the scoring was abundant in the last year's game.
I don't want to see a shootout, really.
No?
I would like to see a battle of the goaltenders.
Really?
And just one team break
Game
through.
7. Ugh.
One team, hopefully the Bruins break through.
I want offense. Let's see it happen.
I would love one-sided offense.
One-sided, yeah. For 5-0 final.
Us. Yeah,
that'd be nice.
That'd be fantastic. We'd be ruthless.
Yeah. Ready. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Martian goal saved your season, by the way.
I think it did.
Because you were in a tough place there to start that first period, and then just on a power play, but it really didn't matter because it was right off the draw, smacks it in, somehow gets through Anderson, and then you start getting things going. Krug gets that goal kind of pinching up for the one-timer. Jake DeBrusk had a beauty. That's a Jake DeBrusk goal if you've ever seen it. Diving in for the tip, top bins. Austin Matthews, of course, did make things interesting. Had a 3-2 there with just about 16 minutes to play. But then Marchand iced it with a last-minute game winner with the empty net. And Freddie Anderson had gone to the bench when the Leafs didn't even have possession. Bold move.
I don't know if that was Freddie's call. I think that was someone waving him.
You know what I mean.
Again, Mike Babcock, the most overrated coach in hockey.
Yeah. So
we'll save that for the postmortem of the series.
Okay. On to
whichever way it goes.
Exactly. That's right. We will definitely have that next week. But on to game number 7 at the Garden. You had a talking point that you were looking to get to.
Well, do we want to do preview first or my talking point?
I don't care.
All right. Well, let's set the stage, and then we'll get into our worst fear for tomorrow's game.
There you go. Tease it. Cool. Setting the stage. Here. So here's a thought for you with the Lions, because you were all over Cassidy in Game 6 for keeping in Achari and Nordstrom and not Wagner and Backus. How do you feel about that now in the rearview mirror, and would you change it ahead of Game 7?
The only change I would make might be Achari for Wagner. Because Wagner doesn't have the most blazing speed.
No.
But I don't say this lightly. Noel Achari might be slower than David Backus.
That is something.
And
it'd be like watching turtles race.
It really might. I mean, Achari probably is definitely faster than Backus, but that's hyperbole to get my point across.
Well, he had a bad one last night where Corrali and him looked to be on the rush, and then just the entire play went by him.
Doc says, might be a 2-on-1 here, and he's like, are you kidding me?
Quicksand.
He fell off the screen.
Speaking of
the camera kept going over, the screen left him behind.
Speaking of the screen and the camera, how about that Leafs fan that stood up for 5 minutes to play, and we got a guy's head in the screen.
Yeah, NBC's camera freezes, and they have to switch to one on the blue line. It comes back fuzzy, and then all of a sudden you have this dude just standing in front of the camera. Something we can all hate. Something all of us can hate.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't think I would touch the lineup. I feel bad because David Backes has played well for stretches in this series, but I just don't know if there's a place for him. I know I'm tempted to say, you know what, get Nordstrom out of there. What has he even offered this series other than a bad penalty last game? But he's the only speed on that line.
That penalty only happens to Joakim Nordstrom.
Of course.
The penalty, because he got slew-footed. Don Cherry had the point on coach's corner. And I mean, I really don't like to take a lot of what Don Cherry says seriously. But, I mean...
Especially fashion advice.
Yes. But we've seen the video montages on Twitter. Evan Marinovsky of WEI has them, where it's slew-foots galore from the Maple Leafs. And right side, there's one from Brandon Sher-Cohen last night, right side of the screen. I think it was Sean Corrali just gets dumped. And Joakim Nordstrom last night, high stick, because Travis Dermott, lifted his stick up into the air. Right into his face, and slew-footed him, causing the stick to just launch.
Right.
Should have been canceling there, but c'est la vie. We'll move on.
Yeah, and I think you need Nordstrom there for the speed.
Yes.
That's really what it is. He doesn't offer ton much else. That's not English. But he dumps it in, and he gets after it, and he puts their defense on their heels. And that's what you need out of that line.
So the only thing I thought of right now is just the fact that it's at the Garden and the physicality. Well, we saw it in Game 2 with Backes.
It's hard.
It's
hard to predict it.
Yeah, and I still don't think it's enough to make you sway. Either way,
No.
I'll be perfectly fine if it's the same as Game 6.
Yeah.
The only tweak I would make would be Wagner for Achari, if I were to make any changes. Because I think Chris Wagner can offer you more.
Yeah. So you mentioned the venue, and I don't think the Leafs are afraid of the Garden, which should scare you a little bit. They've taken 2 out of 3 from Boston when the Bruins were the home team. So I think you're a little bit scared. You don't seem to agree.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Game 2, there was testaments on Twitter. I mean, I kind of biased. I was there. But Game 1 and Game 5 was kind of like Toronto's corporate crowd. They weren't crazy. They weren't rabid. And we saw in Game 2, they had the hot start. They're playing pissed off, physicality this way and that. Quick start. Charlie Coyle, the mayor of Weymouth, gets a goal. And they're on their feet. The house is shaking. And I think that's the key for tomorrow. They fans have to be into it.
Huh. Well, weren't they into it? Didn't you say? I couldn't listen to the game, but didn't you say they were into it to start Game 5?
It kind of felt like it, but
it disappeared quickly.
It kind of felt like they were just expecting it to be easy.
Yeah. Well,
the team and the fans.
I don't know. I think Game 7 in Boston generally gets quite the crowd going.
Quite the buzz.
And with the amount that we're paying for tickets, we will definitely be giving it our all. But so yeah, I mean, I think you just got to be careful because yes, it's going to be a tough place to play, but at the same time, Toronto have proven that they can handle it, and they almost did last season, except Jake DeBrusk with some big goals. You think he's going to show up again in this Game 7?
I think he will.
He's got a knack for it.
I think Patrice Bergeron's going to finally arrive too.
Here's another guy for you, Carson Kuhlman. I think he's got a little bit of a fire after being taken out of the lineup. He came back. I thought he was the fastest player on the ice last night. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. He was flying around. I think he's ready to get one.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think he hasn't. He's been invisible for good and bad.
Right.
He hasn't separated himself. That's bad. And good because he hasn't made any egregious mistakes. He's kind of just been there. That's my take on that.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Patrice Bergeron, I mean,
show up.
But the ice time, it makes you. Is there something wrong?
Right. Scary. But he was good at the dot, though.
Yes.
I think last game he was good at the dot. That's what you can always rely on from Bergeron. He's going to win you faceoffs.
All right, let's get into it. Worst fears.
Worst fears. Freddie Anderson shows up.
Your worst fear for Game 7 is Frederik Andersen shows up. He showed up all series long.
No. Well, he showed up when you couldn't win. When you went 2-1, you peppered him, and you couldn't get it by him until 40 seconds to play, and at that point it was too late. Last game, if not for Marchand squeaking it through miraculously, that could be ugly fast.
Yeah, but they go up 2-0, and he settles in, and glove save, glove save, glove save, glove save, miraculous glove save after miraculous glove save.
Yeah, I think he's on. Aside from that Marchand goal, he seems as good as I've seen him play. So I think if he says, you know what, here we go, folks, I'm not losing in this building again, I think he could be trouble. That's what immediately came to mind when you asked that question earlier. But your take, because you clearly have had it prepared for a while.
My worst take has been...
Worst take?
Or my worst fear has been...
I could go through some of your worst takes if you'd like.
I mean, I think I got the better record than you.
So, whatever.
Especially when we go back to the fall.
Okay.
But...
You said the Patriots weren't winning anything.
I did. That's one of the egregious ones.
Clearly.
But I think I have a pretty good track record than that.
You do.
Helps to just stay down the middle. Helps to stay down the middle.
Nice. That'll get you far on sports radio.
No, it won't. But my worst
Your point.
fear.
There we go.
My worst fear is something the Bruins are completely in control of.
Yeah.
And that's their effort.
Really?
My
Why would
worst.
you come out
My worst fear is they come out like Game 1 and Game 5.
asleep
Totally asleep.
for Game 7
Trying to.
in your own building?
My worst. The way this team was played on
That's
home
true.
ice.
Yeah.
I mean, and like they did the first 10 minutes yesterday.
Yep.
Where they come out just not so much lazy, but just trying to do far too much with the puck.
Yep.
Like
Playing Toronto's game.
across the ice, or too many dangles, or like even yesterday on the shorthanded 3-on-1, we passed back to Brandon Carlo. He touches it to Brad Marchand, who's already on the goal line, and Brad Marchand tries to touch it back to Carlo, and he misses.
Shoot the first time.
Yeah,
Please.
Carlo should have absolutely shot that the first time, or Bergeron should pass that much sooner to Marchand, who had a clear one-time look.
Yeah.
Just don't. They can't come out and overcomplicate it like they have 3 out of the 4 times this series. They can't.
Yep. So we shall see that game kicking off in, quick math, just about 28 hours. So it's 7 o'clock start, right?
Yep.
Alrighty. But there's a chance that this time next week we'll be in the midst of a series with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So can you just give us a quick thought on the Blue Jackets? And if we get that far, a big if, what can we expect from them?
Kind of. Ooh, we got a class going on next door. A lot of laughing.
Rowdy.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Wonder what the punchline was. You're gonna expect an underdog team who is weightless, no weight on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Nobody expected anything from them, and now here they are sweeping the best team in hockey, which was the softest team of all time.
Sounds like vulnerability.
For the Blue
They're a
Jackets.
little bit. They're on their high horse. Be taken down.
Okay, but we said that about the Celtics last year, who made it to the finals.
Yeah.
What was the team?
Wait, the Celtics?
Vegas last year.
What?
No Celtics decimated by injuries made it to conference
Oh,
finals.
conference finals.
That's my bad.
No, it's okay. I got it. Yep.
Vegas last year. No expectations. They weren't even supposed to be there. Columbus wasn't even supposed to be here. They made it in on like the second to last day of the season.
So you're a little bit worried about the Blue Jackets should you get that far?
I wouldn't pencil them in, or
Not at all.
Wouldn't pencil the Bruins into the conference finals.
Definitely.
I mean, on paper, which doesn't really matter this time of year.
Right.
The Bruins, if they win tomorrow, would have smooth sailing, because nobody in the West aside from
Gotta be careful saying that. Yes.
If and / on paper,
'Kay.
which pretty much means nothing, but I'm just putting it out there. We have who in the West scares you, besides from Vegas and maybe if Jordan Binnington stays hot for St. Louis.
Vegas might not even make it out of the first round.
Yeah,
Sharks got them in
Martin
double
Jones stays
overtime.
hot. Yeah, but the Sharks are a bunch of pushovers still.
I don't know about that.
Tampa of the West.
Taking it to the Game 7, but okay.
Tampa of the West.
Tampa didn't make it to Game 7.
Tampa of the West.
Okay. Regardless, there's your Bruins thoughts and a little bit of a Blue Jackets minute, just in case we find ourselves still talking bees.
Oh no, I was gonna
okay.
say one more thing.
Go
Would
ahead.
you like to know the Toronto Maple Leafs roster the last time they won a playoff series?
Oh no.
In 2004.
Can you just? Oh jeez.
Ed Belfour in net. Trevor Kidd, the backup. Brian Leach. Gary
Leach.
Roberts.
Oh no.
Aki Berg. I don't know. Ron Francis. Tom Fitzgerald. Matt Stajan. Tomasz Kaberle. Darcy Tucker. Chad Kilger. Robert Reichel. Ken Klee. Alexei Ponikarovsky.
Wow.
Brian McCabe. Joe Neuendijk. Brian Marchment. Ty Domi. Nick Antropov. And Alexander Mogilny.
I don't know 90% of those guys, so there you go. Long story short,
some Hall of Famers on that list.
Whoops. Long story short, it's been a long time. So
yes.
Hopefully the Bruins can keep the streak going, or will Toronto finally get revenge? Tune in tomorrow night. There you go, free ad for
at 7.
Is it Essen?
Yeah.
Thank
Jack
God.
Edwards has been all over Twitter.
Thank God.
I mean, maybe if they get that ticker on the bottom of the screen fixed.
Jeez. Alrighty. So let's move along to the Red Sox, who had, I believe, their first winning week of the season, by the way.
One final note.
Oh, my God.
We have so much entertainment factor tomorrow. Referees, Kelly Sutherland
Give me Wes.
and Wes McCauley.
Let's go! Oh, if it comes down to like 10 seconds to play, goal under review,
and
the decision on the ice.
We gotta go! And
That'd be
linesman
great.
Mark Dvorsky, I think his name is.
Who?
And I know 3 out of 4 names in there.
Okay.
Anyways.
Entertainment
Wes
factor.
McCauley.
Let's
go.
That's worth price of admission alone, Wes McCauley.
He might be.
Anyway, Red Sox.
That's why the tickets are so high.
Oh, okay. Red Sox
Finally.
with a week in the AL East, and they started it off with 2-game series against the Yankees that was not too pretty, losing 8-0. Actually, that's kind of one of the biggest talking points of the week for the Red Sox. That first game, Blake Swihart out the door. We talked about that. Sandy Leon comes on up. Sale's personal catcher. He's back. Chris Sale looks normal through 2 innings and gets shelled.
Yikes.
Was it 5 runs against for Chris Sale?
I believe so.
0-4 on the season. Chris Sale, my pick to be the AL Cy Young. Chris Sale.
You've fallen behind Toronto in the standings.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my.
You are 9-13. Toronto's 11-12.
Wow, that's sad.
Only 5 games back, though.
So yeah, things got ugly in New York. You lost 8-0. You lost 5-3. Your pitching still couldn't get it done. Actually, whoever, I think it was Porcello, maybe? That second game in New York, you had the lead. You were looking good. And then Brett Gardner, cousin Brett, my man. He's not my cousin.
I'm aware.
Grand salami in the 7th inning puts them ahead 5-3. It would stay that way. So you go into New York, you lose 2 out of 2, and you're like, oh boy, heading down to the, I think at the time, like league-leading Tampa Bay Rays, and things are not pretty. And we said it last week, this could be a potentially season-defining series. Or not series. That's a stretch, I realize. Like,
I don't think so.
you needed these. You could have ended up, what was it, 11 games back?
You could have been 11.5 back if you got swept both series.
That's right. You got swept the first one. You're heading down to the Trop. Always a dangerous place to play, especially when they can't even fill the bottom bowl. I'm kidding. They couldn't, though. It's painful. It's the best team in the league.
You lose it in the lights.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So you go into Tampa Bay, and you get it done. The first sweep of the year comes over the Rays, and they were often in dramatic fashion. We had a 6-4, a 6-5, and then a 4-3 in 11 innings. But that's 3 wins, and that is huge.
Yes. And now you come back to Fenway for 4 games against the lowly Tigers.
That's right. And then you have
Tampa again.
Yeah, Tampa again.
And you have Oakland for 3.
Winnable. Have you turned a corner here?
I hope so.
We've said that before. This feels like
I
the
hope
Celtics.
so.
This is exactly like November with the Celtics.
I think if you can take 3 or 4 against Detroit, I think you're golden.
Really?
I think you.
World
You're
Series?
certainly no.
Sign us up? Put the banner
No.
up right now?
Wild card.
Oh, really?
You're back to wild card. I think the Yankees and maybe even the Rays are still better than you.
Wow.
The Rays have certainly shown it this year, aside
Yeah.
from that series. Separately, they have.
They were still good in that series.
And the Yankees, we knew that going in, probably better than you.
The Red Sox just finally started looking like the Red Sox in terms of getting pitching when you needed it and getting the bats going when you needed it.
Yeah.
So big breakthroughs from the Sox, but some big problems in terms of the health. Nathan Eovaldi onto the injured list.
Surgery.
It's no longer the DL, it's the IL.
Yep.
Surgery.
Just call it IR if we're going to do this. Come on.
I know, right? So that's obviously the throwing arm. That's the arm that he's had the surgeries on twice for Tommy John surgery, and he's going back under the needle. That's what they say, right? Under the knife?
Under the knife.
Oh, same difference. Not good from Eovaldi.
I'm not completely worried once more details about the surgery came out.
I am.
So it's not Tommy John, and it's the same procedure he had last year. We brought him back from the Rays.
So is it going to be annual?
It might be.
Oh, God.
It might have to be. And if it's what brings him back throwing like a tank like it happened last year,
Yeah.
then it's fine with me. And if it keeps him fresh for later in the season when it's going to matter more, sure.
Turns him to Superman.
That's what it did last year.
Spider-Man.
It's going to be the same procedure pretty much. That's what I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah.
We love Twitter.
We love Twitter. Tweeter.
Information capital of the world.
Fake news. So yeah, Eovaldi, that's
yeah,
trouble because you
a lot of fake news
just
out
signed him to the big contract. How many years?
I believe 5.
That's not.
Oh, no, it was 3.
Okay. Just you gave him good money. You gave him a good number of years because he did so well for you last season when he came in.
4.
But this is the risk you take because he's an injury-prone guy. He's proven it, and it might only be a matter of time till his arm falls off. Sound familiar? Chris Sale. So you got 2 pitchers now you've got signed for a long time who have spotty arms.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like Island Mister Toys.
But
Who wants a pitcher that doesn't have a good throwing arm? He's Southern now. That's literally that's what it is. That's like, what are we gonna do with? Like, what are you gonna do, you people? If you can't, keep your arm going, what? Why are we signing you for so long? That's my thought. We'll see. I mean, maybe they got a whole master plan and they're taking it easy right now, so that by the time we get back to the playoffs, we'll have playoff Eovaldi and playoff Sale back again. I would hope that's the case. But it's just it's a little sketchy right now.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried about it just because of but how it went last year.
Alrighty, I hope
And
you're
it
right.
should be a relatively small procedure.
Okay, another guy who is off to the injured list, Dustin Pedroia, the guy who claimed he was going to play 125 games this season once he played 4, and he's back on the injured list. Is this all that we will see from Dustin Pedroia?
I think it has to be.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he offered you nothing when he was here. And what's the point if he comes back and does? Well, he did it in the clubhouse last year.
That's what I would say. Make a compromise and transition him to a bench guy. Like, not bench player, bench coach. I don't know how easy it is to do that.
Corey level.
Yeah. What is he, Arizona?
Yep.
But yeah, I think Pedroia's playing day is just about over. And I think the longer that he strings the team along with these, like, oh, I'm coming back. Like, you can trust me. I'm your everyday second baseman. You know, the longer he strings the team along with that, the worse they're getting because they're just having to platoon Zue Lin at second base for, I think, that Rays series. You get Nunez over there sometimes. You get Holt over there sometimes. Brock Holt, please come back. He's still out with the injury that his kid gave him when he hit his eye. I don't know what happened there.
That's actually how he got hurt. I thought he was already hurt from that.
No, I think it was his kid.
That was like last week that video came out.
No, that was just like a funny. That's why he said, like, Dad, you should put on a helmet because his eye last time got hurt. I think that's what it is. His kid playing with his kid and he hurt his eye.
Griffin hits moon bombs.
He does.
Red Sox 2035.
Sign him up, hello. So yeah, I mean, not too good to see Pedroia going back. Just kind of a feel-good story. You wish he could succeed. Maybe just have another year in the spotlight and then like off into the sunset. But it just doesn't seem like it's gonna go that way. And there's also reports coming out that he talked to Jerry Remy and he was like, "Hey, how are your knees feeling these days?" Because Remy had a history of knee injuries, had to stop his career after 8 years because the knee was getting to him.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think it's bad news right now for Dustin Pedroia, which is too bad because he was one of my favorites for a long time there.
Yeah. Good news for the Red Sox, though. We talked about Detroit coming up.
Okay.
Then you go Tampa, Oakland. All right, we'll see where that goes.
Prove it series.
You have 2 prove it series. Then you have Chicago, and Chicago's not in the basement, but they're certainly not
White Sox.
Massive threat. Yes, the White Sox. Then you have Baltimore, Seattle, Colorado, and Toronto.
Houston.
And Kansas City. And Texas and Baltimore. I'm just going through. Yeah, I'm going
literally
through.
the entire spring.
I'm going through. I mean, but it's a lot of winnable games outside of like Yankees and Cleveland, Houston series.
So the good thing is you have these stretches where you're playing against not so great teams, so that you can kind of gear up to the big teams. You know, you can build momentum in these games against the Tigers right now, so that you're ready to take on the Rays on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like we said, we have 4 games here against the Tigers, very winnable games. Chris Sale starting tonight. Can he get his first win of 2019? Certainly hope so.
He hopes so too.
Yeah, that'll be that'll be 4 games, and then
so.
You have Tampa Bay over the weekend.
Yeah, and biggest thing, they can't afford to go drop 3 straight, drop 4 straight, because that's what killed them so far this year. You go win-loss to start the season, then you lose 4 straight, and then you go win, you lose 3 straight, win, you lose 1, 2 more wins, lose another, and another win, and you lose 3 straight again.
Yeah.
You have to avoid these streaks.
Yep. Hopefully they're finally getting going, though. Like I said last week, it feels like they're finally getting something going in the right direction. Seems like they're just about ready to break through. Maybe this Rays series was a breakthrough. Let's find out.
It felt like the right direction until they lost 8-1 to the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah. All right, so let's move along to the New England Patriots here, and it is draft week, so we'll get into that in just a second. But the first news of the week, Patrick, was the Patriots will open their season against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football, Week 1. Your thoughts on that one?
That it's on Sunday or against the Steelers?
I was going to say Steelers because we've known that was going to be on Sunday, but whatever you want.
That's true. We have known.
That wasn't even the first news of the week. Oh. Demarius Thomas.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about him last week. It just became official like 20 minutes after we went off air.
Terrible.
Always happens to us.
Yes.
Always.
So just quickly, your thoughts on the Thomas signing?
It's nice to have options.
It's a name. Yep.
Well, it's nice to have someone else.
Yes.
And if he cannot be a complete shell of his former self coming back from the Achilles, that's the only concern I have.
Right.
I'm not really concerned about the drops with Brady throwing to him.
Right.
So.
I think best case, he's Randy Moss. Like, he's got the talent. You know,
Randy Moss was a head case when he came in here. He wasn't coming off an Achilles injury.
Give or take. I think they're pretty comparable in terms of, he's got something to prove. He's kind of second half of his career maybe, and maybe plug him into the system, and he's a rebirth, and this is a great partnership, and that's what you hope it is. And I think worst case, this is Chad Ochocinco. This is the big name that comes in and provides absolutely nothing other than a little bit of media coverage. But at the end of the day, it's a name that you're putting on the depth chart that maybe carries a little bit of weight. So, I think that's definitely an improvement from what they had. So I'm happy to have him in. It's only a 1-year deal, which I think is good. He's got some experience with Josh McDaniels from McDaniels' like 2 years with the Broncos. So I like the signing personally.
Something.
Although he's got like $6 million, which feels like a lot.
And it's only for a year.
Alrighty. So you got that, and then the Steelers news. That they'll be the opponent for the Patriots that first week. My only thought on that one, the Steelers once again the sacrificial lamb.
Absolutely.
Like, it feels like every time it's like, oh, we got the AFC Championship, Patriots are rolling, like the Steelers are banged up. Well, they're gonna meet and the Patriots are gonna roll them over. Like, that just seems like how it's gonna work, and it seems like it's gonna be the case again. This Steelers team that's lost their 2 best players, and it's just calamitous down there in Pittsburgh. They're coming into to face the Super Bowl champions on the banner raising night, and as long as things don't go as badly as they did 2 years ago against the Chiefs, it should be a bloodbath in favor of the Pats.
Yes, well, speaking of banner raising night,
Oh,
there's room for one more banner, so they're going to have to find somewhere else.
at Gillette?
Yes.
Okay, where are you going with this?
And
Oh.
we'll have a Lombardi trophy in attendance with a blemish.
Yes, that's where you're going. Oh my gosh, Gronkowski dented the Lombardi trophy trying to bunt it at the Red Sox opening day. He was like, hey, throw me a pitch. They didn't think he was going to swing.
They just
He
tossed
did.
it, though. They lightly tossed it.
And then he just tapped it with the Lombardi trophy. I didn't
Bing.
even notice on the TV coverage that it had a dent.
So
He probably held it right on the dent.
probably.
It's funny.
So they make these new every year. Are these things like aluminum or something?
Yeah, that's right. It's a baseball. I mean, tossed. Interesting. So that's kind of funny. You think they're going to keep that or they're going to fix it?
Oh, they'll keep it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a story?
Yeah,
Folklore?
It's a story. It's Gronk.
Yeah.
He just retired. They'll keep it.
Interesting. That's pretty funny.
Maybe they'll fix it a couple years later under our noses.
Yeah.
But
When it doesn't matter when they have 3 more?
Yeah.
Yeah. A 4-peat? Hello?
no.
All right, so biggest news this week for the Patriots is that it is draft week. Kind of snuck up on us here a little bit. We've done some last-minute preparation, and we are prepared with our thoughts for the NFL draft. The Patriots have a whopping, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Isn't it like
6, 7,
11?
8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks.
Wow.
12 picks. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, 1 fourth, 1 sixth, and 4 in the seventh. Those don't really matter, but
I wonder
you
if
got
they
a
make
ton
a
of picks.
package to move up.
I don't know about
I
that.
wonder.
I think it's very out of Belichick's nature to
Okay,
try to
that's
move up.
true. He's a lot about quantity over quality.
He's a quantity guy. He develops. He finds the
Except for
diamond
wide
in the rough
receivers.
and then makes it happen. Yeah. Do you think they're going to pick a wide receiver?
I think they have to.
I don't know. You still got Braxton Berrios. He went down with injury last year. He's an unknown. I kind of like him. Looks like Edelman Jr. So we'll see. But yeah, wide receiver, tight end, that would be a nice place to add. Also could go for an edge guy because, yes, you did bring in, what's his name? Bennett? Michael? Yeah, Michael Bennett.
Michael Bennett.
But he's, could be on the back half of his career. Is he going to be into it? He could be the James Harrison type where it's, big name 5 years ago. Does he still have it? I don't know. Could he be a problem in the locker room? Potentially. Long story short, it'd be kind of nice to get an edge guy in. And so I went through here. I did some digging on the Walter football site. Never heard of it. But they got some good analysis on prospects in the, or college players, I guess, in the NFL. And so I found a guy here, defensive end, that I think could do it for you. His name is Clelin Ferrell. Played defensive end for Clemson. And they say one of the most well-rounded defensive ends in the draft class. Definitely the best one on Clemson's roster. And seems like a kind of guy that has good speed, good athleticism, but is strong. And can help the run. And so I think on a defensive line that has lost some names, namely Trey Flowers, obviously, but was never too solid to begin with, I think this could be big for you. He is projected to be a first rounder, but I think it might be worth it.
Interesting.
Any thoughts?
Not really, because I don't know who that
All right,
is.
that's fine.
I mean, defensive end, I got my eyes on Chase Winovich out of Michigan.
Did you just pick a name?
No.
Really?
No.
You actually had somebody?
I actually had him. And compares to Clay Matthews, not just because of the hair.
He has hair. Bring him in.
But I think it'd be a steady pick. I'm kind of blanking on where he's expected to go. I think it's middle round.
Huh.
But I think
It's 2 to 4.
he could be a bang for your buck type of pick,
Yeah.
especially when we talk about Belichick enjoying late round picks.
I'm reading it right now, and he does seem exactly like Clay Matthews.
Yes.
Teams are worried that his
Precisely.
personality would be over the top in an NFL locker room and concerned with his focus on celebrity.
And who's
Love it.
going to get him in check?
Bill Belichick. Check. Get it.
William
Okay.
Belichick.
Another hole maybe that I saw kind of coming down the road here is the safety slash cornerback area, because Devin McCourty threatened retiring. He will be back. You never know how much longer he has. So that could leave a pretty gaping hole there in cornerback, in safety. And you have to wonder too, if Devin's out the door, is Jason gonna follow him? Chances are he would. So there's your hole at the cornerback. I found a guy from Florida who does safety and cornerback and is projected for the 2nd and 3rd rounds. His name, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Yes, we share a name. That's not why I picked him, though. He's got a decent 40 time, but they say that he's a good tackler, aggressive run defender, overall, productive presence in the middle of the field as a safety, and also a good shutdown slot corner, which I think this team could use.
Okay.
So, I think it'd be a good guy to learn under Stephon Gilmore. And looks like a guy with some versatility that Belichick would be interested in.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on quarterback, tight
So
end,
that's the
wide
big one.
receiver?
I haven't looked at tight end, wide receiver, because I just figure that the Patriots will not take any big names in either of those areas because they never do.
I mean, Noah Fant or Irv Smith are kind of realistic for the Patriots.
I didn't look at that.
If you go into the first round, I mean, T.J. Hawkinson might be a stretch because he's projected to go top 15, but Fant or Irv Smith seem like realistic options for the Patriots.
Alrighty. So there's 2 names for you. But the big one, the quarterback. Here's the first thought. Do you think they should add a quarterback in this draft?
I think you have to think about it. I mean, we talked about it.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with my take earlier. Yes, they have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Brady,
I said it
42?
I said it all year. They have to.
Unless you're going to be the team that throws together everything they can to get a
You're
top
gonna do
3
the
pick.
Broncos with Peyton Manning
Well, I don't mean that.
and put all your chips into him.
Let me finish.
Okay.
If you're going to ride Brady out as far as you can, and then he says, all right, guys, I'm done, and you're screwed, and so you bunch together as much as you can, and you go out, you get a top 5 pick, and you bring in, first, second best quarterback in the draft, and you're going to say, you know what, we're going to start with this guy as a rookie. Here we go. If that's your game plan, then good luck to you. I don't know how you're going to sustain your success with that, but who knows? Maybe it would pan out. It just doesn't seem like the Patriot way, especially under Belichick. Maybe McDaniels would do it. I don't know. I don't look that far ahead. But I think the more logical way to do it would be kind of Garoppolo, where you have him under Brady for a little bit, and then you try to transfer him into the starter once Brady's gone. Obviously, Garoppolo didn't work out because Tom Brady stuck around a whole lot longer than Belichick anticipated. But I think at this point, Tom's going to be 42. I think you got to start thinking that, all right, you got, 2-3 years left max. You're going to need a guy to replace him real soon. So I think this is the draft that you get somebody in. He can have 2-3 years under Brady and then take the reins.
Interesting.
That's my take.
So,
Whoa.
do you have any names for quarterback?
I got a name for you. Would you like it?
I would.
Out of NC State, it's Ryan Finley.
And why
He's
is that?
projected 2nd, 3rd round, but they tell him, or they have him listed as he's got limitations as a passer and not a dynamic thrower of the ball. He could be a less athletic version of Alex Smith. But that being said, they do say that they are impressed by him. He's a good game manager. He doesn't make too many mistakes. He makes good decisions, protects the ball, and he's got real good accuracy.
Okay.
This sounds like a Patriots guy. Doesn't need to be flashy. Doesn't need to chuck it around. Patrick Mahomes.
See,
Doesn't need to run all over the field. Just stand there, play mistake-free football, and get them down the field. This sounds like their kind of guy.
I have a guy who Bill Belichick could make into. It seems like he would play right and perfectly into the argument that Bill Belichick made Tom Brady.
Go ahead.
Bill Greer out of West Virginia.
Ew.
And what you won't like, quote, what you won't like is that many of his throws are tied directly to scheme and pre-snap reads.
Yeah.
I think Bill Belichick could make this kid. It could.
Really?
It would feed directly into the hands of the people that say Bill Belichick made Tom Brady.
So Finley also had a similar problem where he kind of keys in on his primary wide receiver, and so when he locks in on them, leaves him a little bit susceptible to interceptions. But maybe that is something that you can change with a better game plan, a little bit more coaching up. But yeah, looking at Greer, West Virginia guy.
Round 4 projection.
Yeah, he was a transfer actually. He was with Florida, so there you go.
Another name.
Okay.
Thoughts on Daniel Jones out of Duke?
They do say Greer has a lack of an arm, by the way.
Yes.
Did Tom Brady have a lack of an arm?
I believe so. Average arm strength, I believe, is what the quote was.
That they play all the time in like the 30 for 30s?
They gave scathing reviews on
They
his.
did.
But, I mean, we
Sorry.
have Daniel Jones out of Duke, projected rounds 1 through 2. NFL comparison, Ryan Tannehill. And if he... So, I'm thinking the Ryan Tannehill of the last 2 years that's been good aside when he's been healthy.
Sure.
He's been above average.
Okay.
And I don't know. If you want to go early, I think this might be the kid.
Really?
I don't have
see
any
him going early.
analysis. I'm just reading what I'm seeing on NFL.com
I don't know.
because I'm not good with college football.
Sure, that's okay. I think if they're trying to maximize the Brady window here, there's very little chance that they go early on a quarterback.
That's true.
I would say second round at best, especially since they have 2 picks in the second. So, I'd like to think that they would pick someone that's actually going to make a, direct impact, like a defensive end,
Okay.
in the first round.
Wide
But
receiver?
who knows? Yes, exactly. They don't love skill positions early on, though, so who knows? It's kind of almost pointless to talk about drafts, the draft in depth with the Patriots, because chances are they're going to take a no-name that we've never heard of before. Synonyms. You have a thought.
Wide receiver Andy Isabella out of UMass.
Who?
Projected rounds 3 to 4. NFL comparison. Philip Dorsett.
Oh, my God. What, he's going to be
Screams Patriots.
overrated and then become a third guy on the depth chart, show up in the red zone?
Screams Patriots.
Interesting. UMass guy. Hello. There was
Yeah.
also a BC kid for defensive end, but he was a little bit slow. Ran a 5.40, so that's not too great.
Other 2 more wide
What's
receiver
his
names
name?
before we.
Name Zach Allen, in case you're interested.
A.J. Brown out of Mississippi. Projected rounds 1 through 2. NFL comparison. Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay.
And one more. We have Deebo Samuel
Debo.
out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
Projected round 2. NFL comparison. Farrell Cooper. I don't know who Farrell Cooper is.
Yeah. I've heard of him. I think he's Raiders wide receiver. Number 2 guy, I think.
Or is that just a nickname for Amari Cooper?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you're right. Maybe I'm thinking of
Interesting.
Cooper. I don't know. Regardless, I think he's a wide receiver. Yeah. So there you go. There's some thoughts for the Patriots. Maybe we'll be coming back saying that, hey, we got him.
He's on
Or
the
like,
Cardinals.
who are these guys?
This guy, Farrell
Receiver?
Cooper. On the Cardinals, wide receiver and
Okay.
return specialist.
Was he ever on the Raiders?
He was drafted by the Rams.
That's what I'm thinking about. Dang.
Yeah, Cardinals, Rams.
All right, so there's your Patriots thoughts for the draft. And happy draft watching to you folks out there that won't be watching the playoffs.
Our very spark notes and very broad
What?
draft notes.
Yes, exactly. Very thrown together, but that's okay because I think we got some good insight in there. So we only have a few more minutes. You've got a class to run to.
Yes.
But you wanted to touch on a couple of the NHL news that have occurred over the last week. So here's your platform. Go ahead.
Okay. We said it last week. Tampa Bay's Charmin
See ya.
softest team of all time.
Goodbye.
They were up 3-0 in game 1. Nick Foligno scores to make it 3-1. Folded like a house of cards. And we see Pittsburgh never really put up much of a fight against the Islanders.
No, surprising too.
Not really. I said Pittsburgh screamed first round exit.
Yeah.
I even have Bruins Islanders conference finals. I would
Me
love to
too.
see the Islanders go on a run here.
Me too. How about that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Putting everyone to rest. All right, we can say Columbus, they're like the Islanders. No expectations whatsoever.
Yeah.
We said the Islanders were going to be 31st.
Barry Trotz.
It's the Barry Trotz effect.
It is. You can't
or-
discount it.
Or is it more of Pittsburgh not being able to play against Barry Trotz? Not less
Ever.
Barry Trotz as a whole, but more of the specific matchup between Pittsburgh
Yeah.
and Barry Trotz.
True.
And lastly, we move on to Calgary and Winnipeg.
See ya.
Both gone.
Too
5
bad.
games. Or Winnipeg was 6, Calgary was 5.
I thought they were both winning it, so or not winning it, but like winning the rounds, obviously.
I feel duped because I picked Calgary to go to the finals.
Oh.
I didn't know who I wanted out of the West.
Right.
I didn't think
Picked the wrong one.
I don't think Winnipeg could get it done in the conference finals.
Doesn't matter anymore.
I didn't think Nashville had as good of a roster they have in recent years. I didn't think St. Louis would keep it up.
Yeah.
Dallas, obviously, I don't see as a real threat. And so the Sharks pushing over. The only threats, the top 3 I had out of the West were Calgary, Vegas, and Winnipeg. Couldn't pick one, so I chose the wrong team.
Yeah. All right. Well, first round of the playoffs just about wrapping up the NHL. What other matchups are going on? There's still the Capitals and the Canes.
Capitals, Canes go to Game 6 tonight.
That's it?
Oh, wait.
Only 6? I thought that was tomorrow. Game
believe-
6 tomorrow.
Game 6 tomorrow at Carolina.
Who's leading?
Yeah, Washington 3-2, but the home team has won every game.
Wow.
Carolina's been a house of horrors.
Wow.
And then we also have Sharks Vegas Game 7 tomorrow.
Oof. I picked Vegas to go to the final against the Bruins, so I got some big Game 7s tomorrow that I need to be watching.
And I believe we have Predators Stars Game 6 tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
It's certainly an exciting first round.
Oh,
a
for
lot
sure.
better than last year's first
A
round.
lot better than the NCAA tournament first round last.
That's true.
A couple weeks ago.
I mean, last year's first round, we saw a lot of scripted coming out.
Yeah.
So
Alrighty. Well, we have a big week ahead of us, of course, and so we're going to have a lot to go through next week. But that will just about do it for this episode, so thank you guys so much for sticking with us for the last hour or so, and we look forward to having you join us again next week. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you then.
go Bruins.